Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you're all keeping well. Hoping to show you a little bit of sewing today. It will be better if you've got a sewing machine, obviously just faster, but it is generally straight lines. So if you've got a little bit of patience, you can still join if you would just like to do it with your hand sewing as well. So I'll try and explain both as I go. And then this is what we're making. So these cool, you may have seen them on kind of Instagram and Pinterest, these kind of slouchy plant pots. So you can just, normally you would just use the pot with a tray. I've just popped a regular pot inside there, but they're just these kind of like bucket bags. And they're really kind of just, you can change your look. The great thing is as well, they're reversible. So if I fancied making this blue with a little bit of an Aztec trim, I could just whip it round the other way. I could change my look nice and easily. And I put that there, keep it looking nice and green. And then also I've got this miniature version here. This one I top stitched, the other one I didn't. So again, I'll explain the difference in that later. But again, that's the idea there, is you put your ugly pot inside with a tray inside. And you can also spray it with a little kind of, you know, like you'd add to fabric, a waterproofing spray, just to make it extra secure, just in case you're a generous plant feeder. But yeah, they look cool, don't they? And they're really good for scraps of fabric that you may have at home. Let me just change to comments, just in case any of you want to say hi and let me know why you're joining today or anything you'd like to know. And Rosemary's already there. Hi, Rosemary from Scotland. Good to see you. And I think I've said it, or I guess my name's in the corner, but I'm Gemma and I run a little business called Lark Design Make. I'm a bit sad today because I was really hoping to do this from my studio and Wi-Fi was installed yesterday, but for some reason it wasn't working today. So I had to whiz home and bring my sewing machine, but I'm doing a couple more in the next couple of weeks and hopefully you can come and see my brand new studio, which is gorgeous. Yes, Donna's saying that she loves plants, and I think that's, if anyone didn't love plants before the last year, then they probably do now. Don't you get wet when you water the plants? Yeah, that's why you put the tray at the bottom. So obviously you need to be a bit careful with making sure that you don't flood them. And like I said, you can also, because you can't see inside, if you are a generous pourer, there's no reason why you couldn't line them with a plastic bag as well. You know, just cut up an old plastic bag or something like that and line them if you did want to keep them extra safe. And like I said, you can spray them as well. Great, lots of a real mixture of people joining today. That's really nice. So yeah, like I've gone absolutely plant mad in lockdown. I think I started lockdown with about 10 plants and now I have easily over 100. And generally I just propagate them all myself. I don't know what I'm doing, but I tried. I tried doing it. I'm just noticing that someone's saying they just gave their sewing machine away, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, maybe you could knit one. There's actually, you could definitely crochet bowls, very similar to this. They're all the rage at the moment. I'm not much of a knitter, but I imagine you do that. So yes, let's get started, because I watched a couple of videos and I think this is the best way. And I just thought that it was quite, I was quite scared by it because it mentions pi, as in like mathematical pi. But actually it's like so easy. It's like, I can't believe I avoided it. So it's like just one little thing you've got to do to work out a dimension. And then you can make them totally editable. All right, so here's my dirty little, I'm going to do a miniature version today. So I'm going to make a cute little pot for that. And the fabrics I've got, the description, I called it Hessian. The reason I did that is because I've got about 20 meters of Hessian upstairs and I really want to get rid of it, but I realized it's the really wide stuff. And then I tried sewing with it and it was really nasty. So if you have got the close weave Hessian, that would be amazing for one of the layers. But unfortunately the stuff I've got is, I'm going to have to think of another project for that because it's going to have to, it's not good enough. So instead I've used like a canvas, so a nice thick fabric that I've had lying around that I've used from various projects. And then I've chosen one plain pattern and then one canvassy, bright color pattern, but that is totally up to you. You could get away, I think, as well, if you use one thick fabric and then one thinner fabric. The decorative side could be thin, but I definitely think for the stability and to make it look sturdy and stand up, you would need one of those fabrics to be quite thick. Glue the Hessian. Okay, I'll try that. That would be, yeah, like I said, I hate throwing things away and it's up there. And someone gave it to me at my sister's wedding And I Pinterest, I looked on Pinterest, and this was the thing that came up, and then I tried sewing with it and failed, but I will try gluing it. Cool, so here we go. So what we're going to do is, here's the tray that I'm going to use. Okay, so you would just take the tray that you're going to use, and let me just put this down a tiny bit so you can see what I'm doing. And then you're just going to place it on the surface, but a little bit away from the edge, and you're going to draw around it. Okay. The reason we're going to go a little bit around from the edge, actually, I think I've gone a little bit. I'm going to move a little. Sorry, I've realised I need to go a bit further from the edge. I need to do to draw around it. Sorry, an inch bigger. So you can just use a ruler. I'm going to use Sharpie actually, just because it's a demonstration. I wouldn't obviously normally use a Sharpie, but I think that might help you at home be able to see what I'm up to. All right, so I'm just choosing one of the fabrics. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around with my ruler. I'm actually a bit new school, so I'm going to say 2.5 centimetres or an inch, whatever terms you use. And I'm just going to mark off every 2.5 centimetres, just every few centimetres, just so I can connect the dots. All right. So that was the size of the tray that I'm going to use for this plant. And I've just added some dots around it so that I can create the actual size that I'm going to cut. So I'm just going to draw that in. All right, so you can go freestyle. And obviously you could do more dots if you weren't that confident drawing a circle. Okay, now I'm going to pin these two pieces of fabric together because I need a circle that size in both colours. Okay. So I'm just going to put it right to the edge so I don't waste any fabric. I'm pretty big on that. And look at my fancy new pins. Aren't they nice? So I'm just going to pop them through. So the materials that you need is some pins. They don't have to be this fancy. Some scissors, some fabric scissors, a pencil, a ruler, a calculator for a minute's time. I have got a quick unpick just in case, but hopefully I won't need to use it. All right, so I've got my pins in there, and I'm just going to cut both fabrics to that bigger size. So it's 1 inch or 2.5 centimetres bigger than the tray or the bottom of the pot. So like when I did this one here, I did that circle there, and then I did 1 inch bigger than that. All right, so that gives it plenty of room to fit in. Oh, thank you, Debbie. My face is looking a bit tired, hence why I've hidden it. I found a really cool feature actually on Zoom. I was just playing around with Zoom, and I found that you can do a touch-up feature. So that's quite handy when I do my evening classes. I look glowing. I'm tired because of this studio that I've been doing up, but it's very nearly done. All right, so there you go. So I've got my 2 circles there, and I can take the pins out now. All right, I'm going to use those later. Okay, so what I need to now work out is the length of fabric that I need to go round this. So what I'm going to do, let's see my face again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure just the length of the piece of fabric. So it's ended up at about 14 centimetres. And then I need to get my phone because that's got a calculator on it. And if people join in now, they'll wonder why I'm sat on Facebook Live on my phone. All right, so this is where pi comes in. To work out the circumference of a circle, maybe it take you back to school, is 14 times 3.14. I have written all this down, and because it'll be backwards now. Oh, it's not backwards actually. But anyway, I will photograph this and add it to the chat in a bit, my kind of step-by-step guide, so that you remember what to do. All right, so the measurement is about 44 centimetres. Okay, so I need a length of fabric, 44 centimetres. So again, I'm going to do 2 of those, one in the yellow and one in the canvas. Now, it's very uneven, this fabric. I'm just going to straighten it off first. The height that you go is kind of up to you because most pots are kind of, similar kind of heights. But you can actually decide whether you want a little fold over, a big fold over like this, if you want to fold it over twice. So on average, I've made a few now, and I found that the height needs to be anywhere between 18 centimetres and 28 centimetres. But I'll go through how you could work it out properly if you did want to be efficient. Never did pie, only ate it. Yeah, I know. I was, like I said, that really put me off doing this video because I thought that that was really scary, but it is literally the number times that length times 3.14, and just forget the reason why. I'm just actually trying to remember what the number was. 44. So 30, my ruler's 30 plus 14. And it's as simple as that. Nothing else needs to be added on. Just a length of fabric that's 44 centimetres. So I'm just going to cut all the way down, actually, because whatever I'm left over with, I might use to make another one. That way. Okay. So as I said, if you want to be specific, I think the height of the fabric needs to be anywhere between 18 and 28, but I could always work it out as well. So that's about 9 centimetres. I need to add at least 2 centimetres for a seam allowance, and then I want to go down by at least kind of 5 centimetres for this look. So 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, that's actually 15, so it's a bit shorter, but this is the smallest pot I've ever done. So I'm going to go 16 for the height. It's really kind of flexible, and they can obviously sit a little bit higher than the plants, so it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to go about 16 by 44, which was the circumference of the circle. I'm not using pins because I'm naughty, but if you wanted them to be really accurate, you might want to. All right, so there we have, we've got 2 rectangles in the 2 different colours. Okay, now I'm going to get my fancy pins out again. I need to think about this one because it's got the black on it. I need to make sure I put it the right way around. I'm going to do the green one first because I know which way around that goes. So all I'm going to do, oh sorry, actually there's one thing I need to do first. Whoops, forgetting one stage. I need to join the edges together. All right, so you're just going to fold those pieces of fabric in half, and let me just get my sewing machine in sight for you. It's quite hard amongst my little jungle. And then it's just a regular straight stitch. I'm going to be doing a regular seam allowance, and I'm just sewing those 2 edges together. So again, if you were doing this by hand, you would be able to just sew along here. Oh, thank you, Debbie. And this is a macrame. I call this a fishbone knot, and I do actually sell a kit on my website, looking for gifts. It's really enjoyable. It's kind of like you just do like a little loop, and then you just do figure of 8 over it, which sounds maybe a little bit difficult, but honestly, once you get into them, it's really relaxing. All right, so sorry for the distraction, everyone else. I'm just going to whiz that line along here. Let me just get a little bit further back so you can see. Yeah, I don't know about you. I've also got like a skirt on with a bit of lilac because I just feel a bit summery, even though it's not very nice weather. It's quite nice to get out a bit more and have an excuse to, you know, wear a skirt, wear a necklace. I'm enjoying that. There you go. So I've joined that together like so. I just need to do the same with my yellow one as well. Basically, the process for both sides is identical. That's why it's reversible after we finished. So that's quite nice. You just have to do the same thing twice. Ooh. Okay, so that's those done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin it to this. Okay, so I'm just going to take it. So I want the beautiful sides kind of on the inside, and then the kind of the outer, the ugly sides, as I like to call them, visible. So again, I'm actually going to pop this down so you can see a little bit more. So just, I always split my seam, so open up my seam just for the sake of my machine, so it doesn't kind of get clogged up with too many layers of fabric. So I've just flattened that seam. Again, if you were a proper sewer, you'd probably go and get the iron out and do that properly. But I don't even own an iron at home, so I can't do that even if I wanted to. So here we go. So I'm just going to pop about 4 pins in there. I did try it once because again, I'm quite a quick crafter without the pins, and it was a little bit annoying because it's quite hard obviously to turn a corner without pins holding everything in place. So maybe don't try that at home. Seems a bit excessive. Got too much fabric. You have to retract. And finally that one there. Okay, so just pin those together, and now I'm going to sew around this whole circumference of it. And my top tip would be not to start on the joint. Go over that at some point. It's quite hard to start on the joint, so just start away from that so that you get a smooth sail over it. So it is just a little bit tricky to insert it, and the one thing is to make sure that you don't sew through the back, because it's all in a little bit of a twist. So just do it slowly, and you're just going around the whole circumference. So just keep moving it forward. Keep pulling those pins out and go all the way around. So I think this is quite good for kind of like next level beginners, if that makes sense. Just because of this bit. This bit's just a tiny bit tricky to hold if you are brand new to sewing. But again, this will be totally doable by hand. So and there we go, nearly round. Over that seam. Oh, I think my seam is closed. 2 seconds. There you go. And all the way round. Don't know that noise. There you go. I'm going to stop before I break my sewing machine. It's all okay. All right, so that's all in. You can also, at this point, you could, it's not that necessary because it's for a plant pot, but you could do some little triangles in the top surface, and that'll just help when you turn it inside out, so that it's called easing, so that you've got a little bit more of a bending surface. I've done the one way, and then I just cut them the other way. So just get little triangles, little notches. Is anyone watching the Great British Sewing Bee? I'm enjoying that. There's also quite a good program about jewellery, which is I recommend. I always put my pins in so I can. Yes, that is quite a good idea, actually. I don't know why I don't do that. Right, let me think about this, because I want to make sure that this ends up on the outside. That's it. So that's that way. Yes, I don't want to see that black again. Yeah, I'll put them in the way that Jeannie, is it? Jeannie suggests. Yeah, you can do them this way, like long ways, and then you can sew over them. I think it's just from when I was teaching, and the kids would still break needles when they did that, so I've got a little bit of a fear of that. Also, actually not like I've done, try and always put your pins in so that they're really easy to pull out as you go. Try and make sure they're all the same way so that you can whip them out if you need. Sue watches both programs. Yes, I know. I'm almost gutted that they're like that. I'm watching them like live, because you've got to wait a week between them, haven't you? Which is, we're not used to that anymore. We've been spoiled. Yeah, few fans. I thought this would be the right crowd to ask that. They're good. There's also, it's very different, but there's one on Netflix about glass blowing that I would recommend, actually. It's a very American, so they're quite big-headed, but the things they make are incredible. I had no idea that you could do that sort of thing. So there is one British contestant, All the Glitters. Yes, yeah, Wendy, that's the one. Cool. All right, let me just quickly sew this. So this is the most difficult part, and then it's all easy from then on. Just going around the circumference. It's funny, actually. This is actually probably the hardest one I've done so far. I didn't think of this, but actually the biggest one is the easiest one to do. So if you're trying it for the first time, I'd almost suggest you start with a big one, because this is actually a little bit more fiddly than I thought. I thought it'd be a bit quicker doing a small one. I didn't think of fiddly. I'm taking the pins out just because I don't seem to have put them in perfectly, so I'm just cheating a little. Oops, like that. Yeah, it seems that circle seems a bit bigger. I don't know what happened with that. Whether I didn't measure it to 44 or seem to have a bit of excess fabric left, so I'm just cheating a little. So yeah, go big. So don't look closely at this because I just botched it a little. I put those little notches in again. Okay, now you need to start with the like the ugly side facing out, and then put the ugly side, which in my case is this one because it's got that ugly black pen on, and put that inside. Sorry, ignore me. So the beautiful sides are both on the inside, so I need to turn one inside out. So I've got my beautiful side there, I've got my beautiful side there of my yellow, and I'm going to insert beautiful side so it meets the beautiful side. I'm going to meet my seams, so that seam is about the same position as that seam, and then I'm going to start sewing these. All right, so just in case you missed that. So basically the outside, the ugly side is here visible, and it's also that one, the one on the inside, because we're going to turn it inside out. Now what you need to make sure you do here is you're going to make sure that you don't sew all the way around, because we need to turn it inside out. If you need, put a little mark on it so that you remember where to stop and where to start. I'm going to do quite a big gap in mine there, just because on Facebook Live you don't want to see me spending ages trying to turn it inside out. But because the fabric's quite thick, you will need at least an inch of space before to make sure that you can turn it inside out easily. So again, same kind of seam allowance, about 1 centimetre, 1/2 inch, something like that, and off I go. This is so funny about how much harder it is with the small. Oh well. Because normally you've got a bigger opening, so it's a bit easier to start. Right, so sewing all the way around. Not entirely sure that was a very good straight line. So right sides together, yes, Donna, yes. Yeah, I call them beautiful sides together. I think that's again from teaching kids. Oh, and there's my black mark. Okay, so I've done a seam all the way around there. I can remove these pins now, and then I need to find that hole that I didn't sew, and I'm going to turn the whole thing inside out from there. So that shouldn't be too difficult because I left quite a big hole. And then what you end up with is like a tube, all right? And then we need to decide which one is going on the outside. I think I'm going to go obviously the top tropical green on the outside. And then I'm just going to grab my yellow and put that inside. Oh, I think I've made a bit of a hole, left a bit of a hole there. We'll do it the other way around. face back on. I've left a little hole in the green one. We'll cheat. We'll put the green inside today. Oh dear. Although the yellow one was a bit dodgy as well. Oh dear. Yeah, go big. Top tip. All right, so I'm going green on the inside. And then just straighten it all up. And again, if you like to keep everything nice and neat, you might want to press it now. And then what you can do is you can fold that over. So that's the look of your pot. And again, what you can do now is you could either, holding that seam inside, you could do a top stitch all the way around. And if you don't like the look of a top stitch, which is that there, I think that would have looked fine if I just used blue stitching rather than the white. And this one I didn't use top stitching, and I hand stitched the joint with a little ladder stitch. So again, I'll just do it quickly on the machine today, because I think if I go that way, then I've got white thread, which won't look too bad on the yellow. So let me just put it that way around. Just going to whiz through that. That's right, green on top, yes. So that was just me sealing the seam there. Just going to do that discreetly. Sorry. Cut those. So this isn't my neatest one, but anyway, it's just for a plant. It's just going to brighten up my bathroom a little. And there we go. Got a little pot, and there's my little plant and my little tray. So make sure you must use a drip tray. So I'll just put that in first. Ooh, lots of threads. So that fits nicely in the bottom. And then the plant fits nicely on top. 2 seconds. There we go. Just fit him in. It's got a good fit. There you go. Put him a little bit higher. There we go. I've made a mess. There you go. So you have, like I said, I've made a few little mistakes, but you can't really tell once it's in. And like I said, I will take a photo of this now, and that'll hopefully help you get through the stages if you have forgotten anything. But the most important thing is just kind of measuring the base, adding an inch, timesing that by 3.1, and then obviously making sure you get the inside, outside sides correct. But yeah, they make really nice little gifts, and it's obviously a really easy gift to plant, but to put it in a cool little pot that maybe matches a friend's house is a nice little addition. Thank you, Donna. She's going to try that. Oh yeah, Anne thinks it reminds her of a beanie hat. I guess you could make a big version. You could measure your head and then add an inch, and you could make a beanie hat for yourself. And then also, yeah, Anne said a smaller one might actually be easier by hand. I think she's right. Like I said, I'd definitely recommend aiming to start with a big pot and then working your way down to a small one, and maybe not doing it on Facebook Live for the first time. Yes, that's right. Yvonne's asked about the glass program. Yes, it's called Blown Away. Like I said, some of the work they've done is amazing. So a good one I'd recommend. All right, thanks, Mary and everyone. So yeah, hopefully next month, because it's May, like tomorrow, isn't it? I'm doing string art. So just using wood and nails and string and hammers, quite a good way to let out your stresses, making a nice bit of art. They can look really nice in the garden. I can't remember when though, you'll have to check the schedule. And then this is a very simple version of the other thing that I'll be offering. It's like it's jazzing up your kind of beach bag with some accessories. So that's also in May sometime. So hopefully see you at one of those. And like I said, hopefully I'll be at the studio if I can get the Wi-Fi sorted. All right, have a lovely bank holiday weekend, and thanks for joining. Oh, great, Jenny. And again, do post any pictures of anything you make. I always like to see them, especially if they're neater than mine. All right, have a good weekend. Bye.